Hello everybody and welcome back. I am Rob, this is the Meeple Dungeon, and today I'm going to be doing another review. Today I'm going to look at After the Empire from Grey Fox Games, designed by Evan Halbert and Ryan Mock. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, well let's just jump right into it here. So I've got the main board laid out here. This is for a two-player game. And we have a red and blue player here. The first player is going to start on the 5 gold, and the second player is going to start on 6 gold, and a player order is going to be marked right there. So After the Empire is a worker placement, resource management, and tower defense game. It uses all three of those mechanics quite well together, and yeah, it's a lot of fun here. So a general idea of how it works is you have your main board right here with all your worker placement areas and your gold track down here, as well as you'll have a player board. And on this player board, you're going to have your own little castle made up here. You're going to have a basic castle made of wood to begin with. You're going to have some food, and you're going to have some resources, and you're going to have a couple soldiers, which are the red cubes. You're also going to have 3 workers. You're going to have an extra worker, a gray one, sitting off to the side, and you're going to have 4 of these farms set to level 1, which is just the one loaf of bread there standing up. And then you're going to have a barracks card. You're going to have a starting character hero card, one of about 5 that you'll be able to choose from. They give you a special ability for the game, and they determine your starting player order, as well as you're going to have an end of game scoring card that you're going to keep secret to yourself, a purple backed smaller card that's end of game scoring. So that's how it's going to start out here, and you're going to have several options on your turn. You have those 3 workers to work with. So one after another, each player is going to take their workers and they're going to place them out onto the board in these various places. In the mercenary camp, you can go here to spend gold, which are your victory points at the end of the game, to purchase more soldiers or mercenaries, soldiers being red cubes and mercenaries being blue cubes. The difference is that the soldiers you need to pay, or you need to feed them at the end of each season to keep them alive. And if you can't do that, then you have to pay gold to keep them alive. And the mercenaries, once they've come, they will actually leave, so you don't have to give them food at the end of the turn. Then you can also place in the wood mill to get wood, the mine to get iron, the quarry to get stone. You can go here to the refugee camp and hire people to join your fiefdom, and they give you special abilities, and some cards you will get instant benefit from, some cards you'll be able to tap every turn. You'll also be able to go up to the scout area, which allows you to get a couple see some more end of game scoring cards. Choose one of them and put another one at the bottom of the deck, as well as getting a shield token and a looking glass token, which are used to help protect your farms. And the looking glass allows you to move some soldiers around in between your combat section, which I'll show you just here shortly. There's also the traveling merchant, where you can spend money to buy other resources or give resources to get money, things like that. There's a tax, where you just can get money in a mercenary, or you can get a bunch of food. And then there's also the buildings area, where you can come over here and you can place your worker up here, and you can select one of these buildings for a cost. Oh, and the refugees also have a cost to them. But in the top left corner here, you'd have to pay 2 wood and an iron to acquire the sculptor's hut. And then it becomes another worker placement area for you in your tableau. So you'd pay that cost, you'd get this card, and then you'd be able to place a worker here to gain a stone, or to trade in a stone for $8 every time you went there. So yeah, you go around and you're collecting these things, placing your workers one at a time, and you also have worker placement spots on your player board by your castle. You have the granary, which you can go here and you can get 3 upgrade points for your farms. So you could flip them from your level 1 farm to a level 2 farm, which will get you 2 food at the end of the turn. Or it can put out fires, because these will end up getting lit on fire every time you're invaded. And then there's the stockpile, which you're able to use your goods that you have to upgrade your castle. So you can spend 3 wood to get a wall to your castle, a wood wall, or you can spend 4 wood to get a wooden turret. So if you spent 4 wood, you would end up getting one of these turrets, and they're in a really cool little component, and you would add it onto your castle. And that's going to help in your defense when the invaders come. And then also, you'd be able to spend, if you didn't already have it, 2 wood and 4 stone to get a stone wall, which looks like this, and they're much more harder for the invaders to break through because they have actually 5 points of damage they need to knock off before they can knock the wall over, whereas the wood walls only have 2 points of strength, and so if they hit that wall 3 times, the wall will be destroyed, where they need to hit this one 6 times. And then there's also stone turrets. It's the same kind of deal here. You'd play 3 wood, 4 stone, and an iron, and you'd build a stone turret, and these things are super awesome in the game, and they would attach to your wall like that. And just for argument's sake, you'd be able to pluck this out if you paid for it, and they just stick down just like that, and the turrets go on top, and you got a pretty cool upgraded little castle there. And that's going to help you when the invaders come. So that being said, at the end of every round, you're going to face an invasion, a horde of bad guys coming to try and sack your castle to steal your gold. So depending on where your gold level is at is going to determine how many invaders show up at your door. So for the first turn, you're going to have invader card. That's these red ones up at the top left here. And you're going to have 1 showing how many are coming for the first turn. And it's going to tell you that whatever direction these swords are pointing is the direction they're going to come from. So we're going to be attacked this round from the east. And depending on how much gold we have, is going to depict how many soldiers try to sack you. So we're sitting at very low gold at the moment. I'm at 5, Anna Marie's at 6. So we're both over 0 but under 14. So we're going to face 1 swordsman and 1 archer. And the swordsmen and archers are, let me find the tokens here. Here they are, represented by these little tokens here. So there's archer like that, and swordsman like that. So you're going to place, when you get to the combat stage after the action stage, you will know that we're facing this invasion from the east, and we know that we have a swordsman and an archer coming from the east. And before this, you're going to be able to have set any soldiers and mercenaries you have into anywhere on your castle you would like. And since we would have known this prior, the first card is always open information, so we always know where the first wave of people are coming from. We would have likely have placed our archers on this side, or our soldiers on the walls of this side, to help with the combat for this round. And the combat can be a little confusing at times, but once you get to the combat section, you're going to end up doing your prep and then your archery. So anybody on your walls are going to be firing arrows down at the bad guys below, and it's just kind of 1-for-1 damage. So if you had 2 guys on your wall and you had 2 guys below, this soldier's going to shoot down at this archer, but that archer is also going to shoot back, killing a soldier, and he's going to end up in your infirmary down here, so you never actually lose them. They just kind of get wounded. And then this guy would shoot at this swordsman down here, so these would be all dead. This guy would be the last survivor. So after archery, you'd be able to choose, move guys around the board if you'd like, and then you could end up doing melee if guys had breached your walls. And if you hadn't killed everybody on the outside, they would start attacking your walls, doing damage to your walls. So then you would get through your melee, and then you'd check to see if you're sacked. And the only way you're going to be sacked is if you have an invaded soldier inside your walls and with no one else to defend it, then you've been sacked. And you're going to lose a whole bunch of gold, depending on where you are on the track. So if you were at, say, 20 gold and you got sacked, you would go from 20 down to 13. You can see there's a little red 13 at the top right here. That depicts how much you go down to if you've been sacked. You'd go down to there if you've been sacked. Then you'd get a couple damage done to your buildings, like your tableau cards. they'll end up with little markers on them to take away potential victory points. But you will get added a gray worker if you've been sacked to kind of help rebuild your castle. And you'll get awarded 2 mercenaries for the next coming round. So all the bad guys would leave. You'd get your mercenaries. You'd get your gray worker. You'd get a damage on a couple of your little cards here. And you would lose a bunch of gold, and you would start the next turn. And that's kind of how it works. So every turn, this yellow marker will move up. Whoever had the most gold at the end of the turn would get this victory point flag. And you would kind of reset. You take all your players off the board. And for every round after that... Oh, I didn't show you this. There's a trebuchet card up here at the top right. So you'd have to deal with this as well. It's almost the same as the red cards, but it just shows you that you're getting your walls attacked by a trebuchet. So if you had 6 gold, between 6 and 16 gold, you would get hit for 1 damage on your wall. If you were above 16 gold, you would get hit for 2 damage on a wall, and it would be the same difference, whatever direction it was coming from. And every round, you're going to increase the invaders by 1. So on the second round, you're going to have a known group of invaders coming, so you can kind of prepare for them, but then a hidden number. And then the second round, you're going to have 3. In the fourth round, you're going to have 4. And then you're going to have 4 for the rest of the game moving forward. But you're only going to ever know 1 set of invaders, and these ones are going to be hidden from you the rest of the game until you deal with that. So that's kind of how the game works. And yeah, you play that out, and the most gold at the end of the game wins the game. And yeah, so let's take a look at the components. Okay, well, as far as components go, let's start with the player boards. So the player boards artwork is fantastic. All around in this game, the artwork is fantastic. Everything's really easily laid out and easy to understand. So the artwork is fantastic, and all the player boards are different. So that's the red player. Then there's the purple player that has sort of like a Winterfell sort of setting. And then there's the green player that has a green sort of setting, like a forested style. And the blue player has sort of a nice meadow kind of setting to their castle. So yeah, the artwork is fantastic. The board, you can see on the board, the artwork is really nice. There's little armies around all over the place, and just great artwork. Components themselves, yeah, everything's great. The cards are nice quality. The cardboard on everything's nice quality. The castles are kind of next level. Really nice quality. The little cubes sit in these spots really nicely. The only little nitpick I would have is when using these cubes as soldiers, they fit okay while sitting on these walls in certain areas, but then there's certain parts of the walls where they just don't fit really well, and they become quite fiddly, and they kind of fall off the walls easily. As you can see here, they kind of just don't fit really well unless you kind of, be really careful as to where you're putting it. So those, that's very minor in my opinion, because you can get them to stay, and it's fine. But I am going to get the upgrade pack for the little soldier meeples instead of these cubes, and hopefully they kind of sit a little bit better on the walls. But no, that's a small nitpick. Everything else, the cards are great quality, the artwork is great quality. Everything's easily laid out so you can easily know what you're up against. All the iconography is clear, and yeah, I don't have much more to say about that except for absolutely excellent on the components. So let's go to my final thoughts. Okay, well, that was After the Empire from Grey Fox Games. What are my final thoughts? Well, this game as a worker placement, resource management game, tremendous. But combining it with this very cool and unique tower defense system, it's off the charts for me. This game was, it blew me away. I love everything about it. I love the artwork. I love the components. My only little nitpick with the cubes falling off the walls, but that's you know, not really a huge deal to me. Just with my big fingers, it gets a little fiddly. But other than that, it's tremendous. The replayability of this game is huge. You'll never play the same game twice. There's lots of different strategies you can go into this game with, whether you want to shoot ahead and get as much gold as possible and then start fighting off huge hordes of invaders, or you want to play the slow game and work your way up. If you want to go with soldiers, or you want to, you know, go primarily with mercenaries, so you don't have to pay the food costs. But you know, there's lots of things that go on in this game, and I'm going to be playing it a lot for a long time. This game is going nowhere from my collection, and it's in fact the best game I've played so far in 2021 as a 21 title. So far this game is yeah, top of the heap for me. I love it. I can't wait to play it again. I can't wait to start playing with more people and showing more people this game and introducing it to them. So I rate my games out of 5 possible daggers on my system. So I will give this game a resounding 4.5 daggers. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the next video. Cheers.